Hello friends, this is Ryan Hicks of TaughtToProfit.com. Today I want to talk to you about negotiating the win-win scenario. This is where both parties in a negotiation win. Now it doesn't mean that both parties do not have to make some compromises, but you don't have to turn into a lose-win scenario or a win-lose scenario, meaning you don't have to lose and the other person win, and you don't have to win and the other person lose. Now I'm going to tell you something that's a tip when you're negotiating, especially with smaller businesses, but even with larger companies, multinational corporations, this can work. But it's finding out what the sellers actually want. Too often we see a price tag. They want $1 million for this company. Okay, that's where their starting point is. But what do they really want? Do they want $1 million, or do they want to buy something with that $1 million? For example, the individual who has his eyes set on a home that costs $1 million, and that's why he wants the $1 million to sell his company. Well, what if you know a realtor in that area that could negotiate that house for you for $750,000? You can get an option on it and hand that over to that individual. Say, listen, I'll get that house for you. I'll buy the house for you for the company and trade it for the company. Would you be willing to do that? And you just cut out $250,000 on your total expense for that company. And everybody wins. They get what they actually wanted. They didn't want the $1 million. The $1 million is just the easier way to complete the transaction, because they just wanted that house for $1 million. And they weren't going to negotiate or anything. They just wanted to buy it. I've seen individuals who wanted a car, a certain rare vehicle that they couldn't find, and the only person offering it was offering it for a huge amount of money, about double what it was actually worth. But you may have that vehicle and you paid very little for it. It's not worth what the only individual selling it right now wants for it, and that's a perfect negotiation tool for you to trade that individual your vehicle for that company. The point is, there's ways of finding out what the person actually wants, not just what they're saying monetarily they want, and get that for them at a better price for you, which actually makes the cost of the company less for you. And no one loses. They're not hurt, and you're not hurt. You're actually saving money. And they are not losing any money and losing the value of the money getting the item they wanted. They get the item they wanted even though you paid less for it than they would have paid. None of this involves any kind of manipulation or tricking people or trying to beat them down and make it hard for them and beat them into submission. You don't have to do any of that. There may be scenarios you have to walk away because it's just not going to work out. But you don't have to make the other party lose. And you certainly don't have to give up your rights and lose in the negotiations yourself. That's the foolish thing to do. I see people do that. They try to pretend like they're being nice. It's not being nice to be foolish and give away some rights you have and give away potential profit to this person, this company, because you're negotiating poorly. Sometimes if things just aren't going right, you need to step back and say, you know what, this isn't going to work out. I appreciate your time. I value it, but this isn't going to be the deal that we want to make. And move on. There's nothing wrong with that. But getting into a foolish deal where you lose because you're trying to be nice or because you've put in a bunch of time already and you don't want to have lost that time and have it been a waste of time. Well, it's not a waste of time because you have learned from that situation strategies and skills that will help you better handle another negotiation down the line. But don't get in this. This is a car salesman mentality sometimes. People do it to themselves. Other people will have it done to them. When you go into a car dealership, there's a lot of psychological manipulation going on many times. So they want you to wait a long, long time in the dealership. It all takes, have you noticed how long it takes? All the paperwork takes forever. They have to send you off to the finance guy. They have to talk to their manager if they can get that price. It's all this long, drawn out, a bunch of steps, a bunch of people and hierarchy. It takes forever. Now, why? Because that beats you down. They know from all kinds of studies that wears you down, and you're more likely to accept the stipulations the contract they give you, even if the interest rate's worse, even if the total price is worse, or whatever the case may be. Some will even have you sign, well, do you really want to buy this car? Well, initial here saying that you really want to buy it. Why? Because they know if they get you to initial something, even though it's not an official contract, you feel like you've already given your word and you're going to have to complete the deal. So when they present you with the worse deal than you really expected, you almost are more likely to give in because you initialed this little napkin or something saying you did really want the car. Sometimes going into negotiations for buying a business or whatever the case may be, people do that to themselves. They've been spending so much time and effort on the negotiations that they give in to a bad deal because they just feel worn down. And I'm telling you, don't feel worn down. Don't give up. You may need to walk away from it, but don't give up and give in to an awful contract or an awful deal for you. And you don't have to do that to the other person either, where you beat them down. They just give in because they're tired of dealing with it. You should go into negotiations to work out the best deal for everybody. Find out what the other party wants. I mean, obviously you're coming into the company. Maybe they're not going to budge, but maybe there's something you don't need in that company that they can take away and sell, and it would give them the amount of money they want, but you could buy the rest of the company for the price that you want. There's all kinds of ways of finding the better deal. There are companies that have divisions that you don't even have any interest in. You literally have no interest in that, and that person could take that division, spin it off, keep it, maybe continue to have some income coming from it, or just sell it outright and get the total amount they want that way. But the point is, you don't have to create lose-win situations where you lose, or win-lose situations where they lose and you win. You don't have to set up those situations. You can do unto others as you would have them do unto you. But many times the easiest way to get to that point of making it win-win is to find out what the other person wants. I see so often people don't know what the other person wants. Well, they said they wanted $1 million. Well, what does that mean? What do they need $1 million for? Just to set in the bank account? Probably not. Maybe so. Maybe they want to get $1 million so they can put it in a bank account or mutual fund or something and get 5% interest a year from it and live off that. So maybe you could negotiate a different deal where you guarantee them $50,000 a year, the 5% they're looking for 20 years or 30 years or whatever, and negotiate a better deal where you don't have to spend $1 million cash outright. Find out what they want. So often what you think they want, which is the money, is not what they're really trying to. The money is the tool to get what they really want. This person wants to sell their company for $1 million, but they don't plan on buying a new car or a new house. They just want to relax and have less work in their later years. Okay, well, what are they trying to get? $50,000 a year? Okay, offer them that. Maybe a lump sum of $100,000 up front, $50,000 a year for 20 years. They're getting a better deal than what they really wanted, and they're getting what they really wanted. They're getting that $50,000 a year income coming in, which is all they really wanted. They didn't care about the numbers in a bank account. They cared about the interest being generated, the dividends being generated from that $1 million and living off of that. That's what they were really interested in. And so you can negotiate better deals. You can negotiate part ownership. If maybe they want to sell it, but they want a little bit or some stocks, and if it's going to go into your company, you can negotiate some stocks so they can own part of your company and you don't have to pay anything outright at all. There's all kinds of ways of finding out what this individual wants. Sometimes they just want out of the company completely. They're just tired of it. They've been doing it for years. They're blinded to all the opportunities they have in that business, and they just want out. And so the best thing you can do to make it a winning scenario for them is to help them get out of it as quickly as possible. And so maybe you being able to close within 1 week would be more beneficial to them than more money, because they just want out of it. And getting out of it as fast as possible is the benefit they want from selling the company. My point in all this is there's no need for manipulation. There's no need to have negotiation tricks or anything like that. One of the biggest things you need to understand in negotiation is to find out what the other party wants out of the sale of the company or whatever you're negotiating. What are they truly trying to get out of it? And when you find that out, you really drill down and figure out what they're trying to get out of this, then you can normally negotiate the best scenario for both of you. You can very often get the price lower than they originally wanted and get them more benefit out of the sale than they originally expected, because it's not always just about money. And when you go in it intentionally trying to help the other party and make sure you don't lose, of course, you don't just give in and make yourself lose, but you truly want to have both parties win in this scenario, you'll make the best negotiations possible, and you'll continue to have the best reputation you can in the business. And one of the most important things is you will keep your character, that character of honesty and integrity, and truly wanting the best for the other party. My friends, I pray it's been a blessing for you. May God bless you richly.